There's something happening in your life right now that you don't even realize is destroying your potential. It's sneaky. It's quiet. And worst of all, it feels completely normal. But this one habit is keeping you stuck, holding you back, and stopping you from becoming who you're meant to be. And the craziest part? You probably do it every single day without even thinking twice. Imagine this. You wake up in the morning, and the first thing you do? You grab your phone. Just for a second. Just to check something real quick. And then, time disappears. Minutes, maybe even hours. And it's not just in the morning. It's scattered throughout your whole day. A quick break, a moment of boredom, a time when you should be doing something important. But instead, you're lost in something that doesn't matter. And you tell yourself, it's fine. It's just a little distraction. But what if I told you that this little distraction is costing you more than you can imagine? Every time you indulge in it, you're trading something. Your focus. Your energy. Your ability to create, to grow, to actually live. You're feeding a habit that makes you weaker, less present, less in control. And over time, it doesn't just stay as one small habit. It spreads. It turns into procrastination. It turns into lost opportunities. It turns into regret. And years down the line, you might look back and realize, I wasted so much time. But here's the thing. You don't have to let that happen. You don't have to be stuck in this cycle. Because right now, in this exact moment, you have a choice. You can keep going as you are, letting distractions dictate your life. Or you can decide that you're done. That you're ready to take back control. And it starts with one simple step. Awareness. The next time you reach for your phone, the next time you find yourself zoning out, escaping, avoiding, stop. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is this helping me? Is this leading me to the life I want? If the answer is no, put it down. Even for just a minute. And in that minute, do something that moves you forward. Read. Plan. Take action on something you've been putting off. Do anything that reminds you that you are in control, not your distractions, not your habits, not the easy way out. Because the truth is, success isn't about some huge overnight change. It's about the small choices you make every single day. And right now, you have the chance to make one that could change everything. So what's it going to be? You feel that urge again. That little itch in the back of your mind. Just a quick check. Just one more scroll. One more video. One more minute. But you know where that leads. You've seen it before. The time slips. The energy drains. The motivation fades. And yet, it's so easy to give in. Because the habit is strong. It's wired into you. Every notification, every autoplay, every endless feed is designed to keep you hooked. It's not just random. It's a system. A machine built to capture your attention and never let go. And it works. You've been caught in it for years. Every time you think about breaking free, there's something pulling you back. The comfort. The ease. The familiarity. And that's the scariest part, it doesn't feel like a problem until you step away and realize how much you've been missing. The moments of clarity, the space to think, the ability to sit in silence without reaching for something to fill it. You don't even remember what that feels like, do you? To be fully present. To be in control. To use your time the way you decide, not the way some algorithm dictates. It's not just about wasting time. It's about losing yourself in the process. Bit by bit, you trade away your ability to focus. Your ability to work deeply. Your ability to be bored and let that boredom turn into creativity instead of consumption. You've forgotten what it feels like to be bored. You've forgotten what it's like to sit with your own thoughts without drowning them in noise. And when you try, when you put the phone down, when you turn off the screen, when you decide to break free, that's when it hits. The restlessness. The discomfort. The feeling that something's missing. But that feeling? That's withdrawal. That's proof that this isn't just some harmless habit. It's an addiction. A slow, quiet one. The kind that steals years without you even noticing. And if you don't stop, where does it lead? Think about that. 5 years from now? 10. If you keep going like this, if nothing changes, what kind of life will you have built? Will you look back and feel proud? Or will you feel that deep, sinking regret that you could have done more, been more, but you didn't? And the worst part? You can't get that time back. But you tell yourself, it's not that bad. Everyone does it. It's just how the world is now. And maybe that's true. Maybe this is the new normal. A world where everyone is half present, half distracted, half living. A world where deep thought is rare, where real focus is a superpower, where silence feels uncomfortable because we're so used to filling every gap with noise. But just because something is normal doesn't mean it's right. And just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean you have to. You don't have to accept this. You don't have to keep living like this. But change isn't going to happen on its own. Because every time you tell yourself, I'll fix it later, later never comes. Every time you say, just 5 more minutes, it's never just 5. Every time you think, I'll start tomorrow, tomorrow turns into next week, next month, next year. And that's how it happens. Not in one big moment, but in thousands of tiny decisions. Tiny moments where you choose distraction over action, comfort over progress. And each time, it gets easier to make that same choice again. Until one day, you don't even realize you're making it anymore. It just is. It just happens. You just wake up, go through the motions, let the hours slip, and then go to bed feeling like you've done nothing that really mattered. And deep down, that feeling eats at you. Because you know there's more. You know you're capable of more. You know there's something bigger you could be doing, something better you could be creating, something more fulfilling, more meaningful, more real. But it feels just out of reach. Not because you don't have the talent. Not because you don't have the time. Not because you're not capable. But because the habit is stronger than your desire to change. Because every time you start to break free, the pull of distraction drags you back. And maybe you fight it for a while. Maybe you delete the app. Maybe you set limits. Maybe you try to be more disciplined. But sooner or later you slip. Because discipline alone isn't enough. You can't just resist distraction. You have to replace it. You have to rewire your mind to crave something deeper, something real, something that actually moves you forward. And that's the hardest part. Because deep work, real focus, real creativity, it doesn't come with an instant reward. It's slow. It's uncomfortable. It's frustrating. And when you've trained your brain to expect instant gratification, everything else feels dull in comparison. And that cycle? It's not just a phase. It's a pattern. A pattern that shapes your days, your weeks, your years, your entire life. Because the truth is, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And right now, your habits are running the show. Not your intentions. Not your dreams. Not the future you keep promising yourself you'll build. Someday. Because someday isn't real. Only today is. But today feels hard. It's easier to say, I'll start tomorrow. It's easier to tell yourself, I need a break. And maybe you do. Maybe you've been running on empty, feeling uninspired, exhausted from the constant noise. But ask yourself, is this really rest? Is scrolling for hours really giving you energy? Is consuming endless content really making you feel better? Or is it just numbing you, keeping you distracted from something deeper? Because deep down you feel it. That little nagging voice, the one that tells you, you're meant for more than this. And every time you ignore it, it gets quieter. Until one day, you don't hear it at all. And that's the real danger. Not just losing time, but losing the desire to change. Because the longer you stay in this cycle, the harder it is to break. Your brain adapts. It learns to crave distraction, to resist effort, to avoid anything that doesn't give an instant payoff. It tricks you into thinking this is just the way things are. That it's normal to feel stuck, to feel lost, to feel like you're always waiting for something but never actually moving toward it. But that's a lie. You're not stuck. You're just caught in a pattern. A pattern that can be broken. A pattern that has to be broken. Because if it isn't, where does this lead? 5 years from now, will you still be here? In the same loop, the same routine, the same cycle of, I'll start tomorrow, that never actually starts? Or will you wake up one day and realize that while you were busy distracting yourself, life moved on without you? And that moment, the realization that time doesn't wait, that life doesn't pause just because you do, is the scariest wake-up call. Because no one is coming to pull you out of this. No alarm is going to go off, no big sign is going to appear telling you this is the moment to change. The moment is now. But will you take it? Or will you keep telling yourself the same story? I'll start when I have more time. I'll start when I feel ready. But when has that ever worked? When has waiting ever led to anything but more waiting? The truth is, nothing changes until you do. Not by thinking about it. Not by wishing for it. But by making the choice, right now, in this exact second, to stop feeding the habit that's stealing your future. And that choice? It's not dramatic. It's not some massive transformation. It's simple. You put the phone down. You close the tab. You take one small step towards something real. Something that actually matters. Something that, at the end of the day, will make you feel alive instead of just entertained. Because this isn't about quitting distractions completely. That's impossible. It's about reclaiming control. It's about deciding, I will not let this run my life anymore. And in that moment, when you take that first step, something shifts. The cycle weakens. The grip loosens. And for the first time in a long time, you realize, you were never really stuck. You were just waiting for permission to break free. But you don't need permission. You never did. You never did, and you never will. Because no one is going to hand you control over your life, you have to take it back. But taking it back isn't flashy. It's not some dramatic, overnight transformation. It's small. Uncomfortable. Unnoticed by everyone but you. It's choosing to sit in silence for 5 minutes instead of reaching for your phone. It's feeling that urge to escape into distraction and resisting, just this once. Then again. And again. Until one day, the urge is weaker. And something strange happens. You start to feel clearer. The fog lifts. Your mind, once scattered and restless, starts to settle. You realize how much energy you've been wasting. How much space in your head was being rented out to things that don't even matter. And for the first time in a long time, you feel present. But the habit isn't gone. It waits. It lurks. It whispers, just 5 minutes? Just one more video. And sometimes you'll listen. Sometimes you'll slip. But this time you'll notice. This time you'll see it happening. And that awareness alone? That changes everything. Because once you see the trap, it's harder to fall into it. Once you feel what it's like to have control again, to own your focus, to be fully here instead of lost somewhere else, you won't want to go back. And that's how it starts. Not with a perfect plan. Not with some grand declaration. But with a single decision. A single moment where you say, not this time. And then another. And another. Until one day you wake up, and the first thing you reach for isn't distraction, it's your life. And that's when everything shifts. Because for the first time in years, you're not just reacting, you're choosing. Choosing where your time goes. Choosing what you give your energy to. Choosing to build instead of consume, to create instead of escape. And it feels different. At first, almost unnatural. Like something is missing. That hit of instant gratification, that effortless way of filling the gaps. But then, a new feeling starts to take its place, something deeper. A quiet sense of power. A knowing that you're in control. And with that control comes momentum. You start noticing the little things. How much clearer your thoughts are. How much more time you actually have. How your mind, once restless and impatient, begins to crave depth instead of distraction. And you wonder, how did I ever live any other way? How did I let so much slip through my fingers? But you don't waste time regretting. Because regret is just another trap, another excuse to stay stuck. And you're done being stuck. So you move forward. One decision at a time. one moment at a time. Until the habit that once controlled you is nothing more than a whisper. Until you wake up and realize you've won. Not because you fought harder, but because you chose better. Over and over again, until it became who you are. And now, the only question left is this: what will you do with the time you've taken back? Because that time? It's yours now. No more wasting it. No more letting it slip away without a fight. You have control again. And with that control, you can do anything. Build something. Learn something. Change something. Whatever it is, just make it count. Because in the end, the difference between the life you have and the life you want isn't luck. It isn't talent. It's the small choices you make every single day. And now you know the truth. Now you see the trap. So the only question is, what are you going to do about it? If this hit home for you, drop a comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. And if you're ready to take back control, make sure to hit like, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more content like this. Your time is yours. Start acting like it.